We are back on the Rational Boomer podcast. Hopefully, your day is going well. Guess what? It's been a while, but Old Soul is back with us.
Yay.
She's got a fake background, like I got a fake background. But Old Soul, it's been a while. We're glad to have you back. Where are you right now? Because I know you're bouncing around the country.
Yeah, I'm in Arizona with Wild Child and family, but I will be back home not tomorrow, but the day after that. I just remembered that I got to do something tomorrow, but yeah, so it'll be Saturday when I get back home.
So, how's the wild child doing? She keeping it straight?
Yeah, yeah. Actually, so far she's been good. We did a kind of like shadow of a congressperson for the day or whatever, because she wants to go into politics. And the guy, he was really, really nice. And so he asked her, like, what's your niche gonna be? And she's like, what are you talking about? He was like, well, when you hear the wealthy, the well off, the well connected, we all know that that's Hakeem Jeffries. When you see somebody bring out that whiteboard, we all know who that is. And then it's like anytime you see somebody going after banks, they talking about consumer protections. And she was like, that's more. He's like, yes. So everybody has their little niche. Like, what's yours going to be? And so she thought about it for a minute, and she said that her niche is going to be because you have all of these people like pulling their children out of school once teachers start to get suspicious or other kids start to notice things. They pull their children out of school and they homeschool them. So she's like, she just really wants to advocate that even though these children are being homeschooled, we need some kind of like laws and protection in place for these children because what they're doing is they're isolating their victims and it's just easier to abuse them. And typically when you do that, the abuse becomes more extreme because you don't have any incentive to cover up bruises or different things like that. And so he was like, that's a pretty good niche. I like that. And I was kind of impressed that she said that too, because I didn't know she was thinking like that. But it does make sense because she was homeschooled. So she knows what that's like. And I was like, that's a really, really good cause to fight for. So yeah.
She's a smart kid, and we're looking forward to that time when she does become a politician because anything's got to be better than what we have today.
I'm
Now,
not looking, I know she could do it, but I am not looking forward to it. I know like sometimes the mudslinging and the stuff that these people do and say about politicians, I couldn't picture any of my girls getting those kind of like threats and attack. I already pop off now as it is, and I see some of the sexist stuff that's online. But I, I'm just gonna have to be that parent. That's like, I
I
told her,
don't.
you somebody supposed to say, you know what? Yeah,
I,
that's my mom right there, and that's just how she is. Because I don't think I could just sit back and be quiet and watch some of that stuff go down. I couldn't do it. Mm-mm.
I
I
don't
got
think you're going to have to worry about Wild Child being quiet and sitting back. She might be right in the mix. I say that about my granddaughter because she's kind of in your face and she's kind of bold. And my wife and I were talking about it. My daughter-in-law is having a baby boy, and
yeah.
I said one thing we don't have to worry about that baby boy. He's going to be protected. Anybody fucks with that kid, Junie's going to be up in their shit, and it isn't going to be pleasant for him. So have a
I
strong
feel
girl, and they'll turn into strong women.
yeah, I feel for any of the girls that come across Junie's little brother. Like, good luck with that. Cause I was kind of like that with my brothers too. So yeah, good luck.
Good luck.
I did
You know,
tell her, I said, you know what, when you go to Congress, you can't take that stick with you.
yeah,
Because
no
she's
kid.
still
She's got
holding
that.
on it.
You know, one of the biggest things I wanted to talk to about you today is you sent me an email, and I talked about it on the podcast that you were going with your brother to the protest in Washington D.C. with regards to veterans, and your brother is a veteran. You were pretty excited about it. How did everything go when you were in Washington D.C.?
It went really, really well. It was like a lot of people was there. And then they had like there was news there, but it was like local news. It wasn't like any international news or any of the big stations that are there. And it was the same thing because it was like a 3 day protest. Because the second day we went to like Fox News, CNN, and there was another one I can't remember. And then on the third day we went to the Heritage Foundation and we protested there. Um, I think I know why they're not covering the protest like that. Is they don't. I don't think they want to show how big the movement is getting or how strong it's getting. And they dang sure don't want to give people like a visual that'll motivate them to get up off of their social out of their sofas and like go take to the streets. So it's a combination of, well, we don't want them to see how people are pushing back against this administration. And at the same time, we don't want them to be joining up with them and taking to the streets as well. I do think that it's a matter of time or something's going to pop off to where they won't be able to ignore it. But it was pretty huge. It was pretty big. There was veterans there. I learned a lot. And then one of the things that was like really important, and I said I'd mention it the next time I'm on the podcast, is it is also more than our current veterans. It's about the servicemen and women that we have in there now, because these are people who have been in the military for, maybe 10 plus years. And if you are a woman or if you are a person of color, your career, where it's at right now, if you don't get demoted, you're stuck, because you are not, no matter what your qualifications are, no matter how many tours you've done, no matter what your resume looked like, none of that, your experience, none of that you have done since day one in the military is going to help you get to the next step. If you are not a white, straight man, that's it. So wherever you're at, you're going to be stuck there, or you're going to be demoted. So it was about our veterans and what they're doing to our veterans, but the people that's in the service right now, we still have to have their back too. And so I think that was like a part of it that, a lot of people didn't pick up on, but I definitely learned about that when I was protesting. So that was good.
How many people do you think were there? How many protesters?
As far as my eye could see,
So we're talking thousands of people.
thousands. Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot. It was a lot. And it was pretty cool and then you hear them, there was like stations there and they were doing interviews and talking to the different vets and what happens if they take this away and they take that away. Something else I didn't know that was going on is dogs. So you know how like TSA has like those bomb sniffing dogs, and then
Right.
the veterans, they also have these like emotional support animals at like different VAs and stuff. The
Right.
funding for the dogs were cut. So they took away, like, you have a budget, and so much of the budget is used to like buy animal food or get the animals their shots and different things like that, right? They took that out of the budget. So there's no dog food for the service animals. Like they just don't feel that. I honestly think that these people do not think that PTSD is real. They don't think that veterans need emotional support. And you can see that 22 veterans dying by suicide every single day in this country. And they cut the VA suicide hotline. Like they don't, I don't, I'm at a loss for words on that one. But you could just see that they look at them like G.I. Joe dolls or wind up little army toys or something like that. They're not supposed to feel anything. They're not supposed to bring back any trauma or anything like that. It's like they don't recognize that part of someone's service, which is, it's insane to me. I didn't even know we lost 22 a day to suicide until I did that protest. So I learned a lot, and it just makes it that much more egregious that they are cutting off the benefits that could emotionally help them.
Yeah. I didn't know that about the 22 suicides a day. That's appalling. That's terrifying, actually. But you mentioned, and I wanted to talk about a little bit about the media and how the media isn't covering that. When I heard these protests were coming, I thought, well, this
Yeah.
will be big news. It'll be all over the news. It'll be helpful to the cause. And then, of course, mainstream media didn't do a damn thing. And this should further tell us we can't trust any mainstream media, because there's no reason not to report thousands of people protesting in Washington, D.C., thousands of
Yeah.
veterans. We get politicians that tell us they're behind veterans. We get media telling us they're behind veterans. But then when veterans are striking out and fighting for their rights, nobody gives a fuck. This should give people good enough reason to get away from the mainstream media, go to social media, because I did see some videos on social media. That's where we
Yeah.
finally saw it. And they may think they're winning this, but they're losing because everybody's leaving mainstream media and coming here.
Yeah, or what I do, I'd like look at social media, but I also watch international news as well. And then there's a couple like, UK um content creators that's on YouTube that I watch. And you will
Yeah.
be surprised. Like if you watch the news in the UK or in Australia, like just watch international news and watch their reporting on the United States and United States reporting on United States is completely different. It's fact based. It's like real honest. You know what I mean? And even when they interview their own politicians in America, you would look at them and be like, "Oh, they're being aggressive. They're being rude. They're treating a politician wrong." But to them, that's normal because if you're going to be in charge of millions of people, then we have to hold your feet to the fire and you have to be accountable. Like you just have to. They didn't even like I've been watching international news and I don't know if people have been seeing, but the protest against Viktor Orban, like those protests are insane. There's like millions of people out there in the street protesting against him. You're not going to see that on Fox. You're not going to see that on CNN. You're not going to see that anywhere unless you watch international news. And it's insane how big those protests are out there. Yet this is the type of person that Donald Trump wants to tie himself to. Is people think that Vladimir Putin is strong because Trump tells them that. But if you watch real news outlets, they will tell you how horrible his military is. They will tell you how impoverished his people is. They will tell you what the inflation rate is in Russia. If we knew that in America, even Trump supporters will be like, wait, wait, wait. Why are we teaming with Putin? He's losing the war. Why do we want to follow his politicians? All of his people are poor and starving. Why would we want to follow him on any type of military level? Because he takes the children and put them on the front line. He's he's kidnapping children from Ukraine. Like, why would we follow that? So, in the order for us not to ask those questions, they just say forget it and they don't show it. People here no idea what's going on. None.
It seems like America is emulating Russia in terms of the media. If you're in
Mm-hmm.
Russia or you're hearing reports from Russia about Russia, it's all positive. It's all good. We're winning the war. Everything's great. Everything's beautiful. And that's kind of the same thing we're getting here. Maybe not as much positive, but they're
Yeah.
really downplaying the negative. And I was going to ask you after the election, you were pretty down about this whole thing, and I understand that. I get the impression now that after going to these protests and seeing the number of people coming out to these protests, you seem a little more energized.
Yeah, I'm more energized and I feel better. For one, it's like it's good to be around people that's like like-minded people. And it's not like it's just like a group of us sitting at the table. Like
Right.
when you turn around and you see thousands of people or 10,000 people, they are all there for the same cause. It lets you know that regardless of what they're telling you or what they're showing you or choosing not to show you, that's not reality. And you can get really like sad if you think that's what the reality is. It's kind of like you have to be in the mix on the ground with other people and feel that energy. And then you're like, okay, this is reality. This is what's going on. Whether they want to show it to us or not, I do think that sooner or later something's going to happen to where they have to show it. I sent you the link yesterday, but each day I've been watching the Free Palestine protests because they've been showing those live. There's like one network that's like covering it live as they're doing it. And today it was like a little bit bigger. And I saw a couple of incidents and the police officers was like a little bit more enforced than they was yesterday. And so I'm like, they're going to be doing this every day. They're announcing the times that they're going to be doing it. They're telling everybody where they're going to be at. And I get that. But at the same time, it's how long is it going to be before this administration say, you know what, we need to clear these streets out. You know what I mean? So that's I've been watching it every day just to kind of keep up on it and make sure that since they're showing it live that nothing crazy is going on. But at the same time, that's not my fight. So I have to kind of fall back on that one.
We've been watching and hearing about all these town halls that are happening for Republicans, and they've not been going well. And now some Republicans are going into, or Democrats are going into Republican areas and giving town halls, which I think is a good uh, proactive thing for them to do. That said, there
Yeah.
are some Democrats that are going to town halls of their own in their own districts, and they're getting some heat too
They
because
should.
they don't feel as though that Democrats are doing anything to show any strength or any plans to do anything, and people are getting frustrated. People are getting hurt, and the Democrats are there to serve us. And while they're not the ones hurting us, you would hope that they would do something in response, and it just seems like they aren't doing anything. You get that kind of feedback from people you talk to?
Oh yeah, because they're complicit. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? If I'm sitting here and I'm watching someone attack another person or do something to another person, and I don't pick up my phone and call 911, I don't scream, I don't yell, I don't try to get help, I don't try to hit this fool in the head with a brick. I'm just sitting here watching it. I am just as bad as the person that's doing it. And
Yeah.
to me, it's like they know. Democrats know. And one of the ways that they would know is every time they make a viral news clip when they pop off in a hearing, or they call Trump out, or they call Elon Musk out, or whatever, those clips are like mega viral. We are showing them what our views and what it is that we want to see and what we don't want to see. And then they can read comment sections, they get the phone calls, they get the emails. We are letting them know, like, hey, we want you guys to fight. Chuck Schumer knew nobody who was even Republicans in these districts that Trump is attacking, did not want that deal signed. And he just caved. Like he didn't have any other options, which was insane to me that he tried to sell it. And he did the same thing that Republicans did. He started running from the people because he didn't want to hear our voice. He canceled his book tour. You know what I mean? It's like, oh yeah, you don't want to hear from us. They protested outside of his office. He didn't even go in that day when he was supposed to be there. So it's just kind of like they know what we want them to do, but they're choosing not to do it. And that's one thing that the right and the left have in common is we have representatives who have gotten way too comfortable and they feel like they know what's best for us. Like, I'm not going to represent you and do what it is that you voted for me to do or that you want me to do. I'm going to do what I personally think is best for everybody else. So, yeah, your 401k is going down. Yeah, they're going to take away your Medicaid. Yeah, they're going to attack your Social Security. I get all that. But at the same time, norms and traditions. That's not even a conversation that you would want to have. So they know. They know. They just choose not to.
Well, there's talk now on the news that Donald Trump today, when this is airing, is going to go after dismantling the Department of Education. Now, the
Yeah.
Department of Education's been around since the 70s, I think, 78, some 76, something like that.
Yeah.
And most people don't know what the Department of Education does. And might there be waste in the Department of Education? I almost guarantee it. I work for a school district. There is waste there, but
Yeah.
you don't go into a place and try to root out waste with a fucking flamethrower. And that's exactly what they want to do. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I worry about kids that are in school now are going to have to deal with what's left over if they do shut down the Department of Education. They can't legally do it without Congress, but they can cripple it. They can throw up hurdles and all kinds of problems. One thing that they don't understand is that uh, while most curriculum is back in the states where the Democrat or the Republicans say they want it to be, that's pretty much the way it is anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But for any special education funding, whether it be for teachers or for the kids, that's what the Department of Education handles. And if they are successful in dismantling the Department of Education, that's gone. So if you have a kid that needs special help, or if you happen to work in special ed, you're
Yeah.
probably going to get fired and your kids are going to lose the help they need. Now, you can always get help, but you're going to have to pay for it. And I don't know that people understand how devastating this will be for a lot of families, Republican and Democrat.
Yeah. I don't think that um it's just so weird to see the states that this is gonna hurt the most. Like we could just be real. Like this is gonna be states in rural areas. And you would think that if a politician, especially running for president of the United States, stands on a stage and say, I am going to dismantle the Department of Education, that someone will say, hey, what does that mean for not just for me, but does it mean for the children in my state? Like, what does that mean? What does that look like? And you would think that they would want to figure that out before they voted. But then at the same time, they were all like tariffs, tariffs, tariffs until the day after the election. I think that these red states are going to get hit pretty hard with it. And I don't even think they see it's coming yet, because they still don't know. They still don't know what school choice is, even though they voting for it and they cheering for it. You say, okay, what's school choice? And they have no idea. They have no idea what it is. And then when you tell them, my experience has been when you tell them, they don't believe you. And then when they look at it, then they got all these questions. Well, it's too late now because Donald Trump is in the White House. He didn't already put in charge this heifer whose goal it is to dismantle the department. What are you going to do at this point? You just kind of have to, I guess, start making plans and going with it. I found out through being with other like girls from red states how bad it is there. It's like insane. We have high schools in my state. One of the high schools is like Rancho High School, and it's like you have your regular high school, but then also at the ground level, it's medical assistants, dental assistants. So you can have your classes in the day, and then you go to the ground level, like high school in the day, you go to the ground level and you're learning how to be a medical assistant, whether it's in a dental office, medical office, whatever. And then that way you're working while you put yourself through nursing school or whatever it is that you want to do. Red states don't have programs like that. We have a high school that's geared towards the culinary arts. They don't have anything like that. Those schools, some of them don't even look like schools. They just kind of like buildings in a parking lot. It's weird, but they don't understand that their senators and people that they elect, they are beneficial if they keep you and your children dumb because it's easier to manipulate you. So it doesn't make sense to them why they would want to harm their children. But at the same time, they don't want to give your children free lunch. They're saying, hey, you're 6 years old, you should be able to find a job and stop leeching off of the system. Like they, through their actions, are telling you that they don't like you. They don't like your children. They just need you once a year for a vote. And then after that, you on your own. And I think that as bad as it is right now, like as horrible as it is right now, that's what some of need to see, because then when they go to vote again, they're going to start thinking before they vote. They're going to start listening to what these people are saying and watching what they're doing before they vote. Because you can't allow them to feel like once I'm in and I have that name recognition and I have some big money donors behind me, I'm set until I feel like leaving Congress. No, we have to vote them out and show them you got too comfortable. Next. And then that next person will know, well, like, hey, my district, they'll get rid of me if I ain't doing what I'm supposed to do. But we have to kind of like teach them how to treat us. And right now we've taught them that they can treat us horribly and we just go turn around and vote for them again. That's what we taught them. We will tolerate that. And that's why they're no problem doing what they're doing right now, because they just assume, yeah, they tripping right now, but I'm gonna get that vote. That's all I gotta do is are perverts. I'm gonna get that vote.
You brought up the your state, which is Nevada. You live in Las Vegas. And Will, who's been on the show and in the lives many times, he's always said, well, if you go too far, the villagers are going to come out with the torches and the pitchforks.
Yeah.
Sounds like in the state of Nevada, that's already starting to happen with Teslas and Tesla dealerships and charging stations and that sort of thing. Maybe Elon was whining about it on TV the other day. Why don't you tell us what's happening?
These people is not playing. They are not playing. Right now, for what I have been told by someone I know who got a Tesla and can't get rid of it. Like, you can't sell it. You can't trade it. You can't do nothing with a Tesla. It's just a heap of junk, right? And he was like, every single day, I take my car like 2 blocks up and park it. He said, every day I come outside and that damn car is still there. Like, he is waiting for them to vandalize his car. But they are like setting dealerships on fire. Tesla cars in dealerships, they are just like blowing them up. And it's not enough that they got to blow them up. They got to like shoot at the cars while they're being blown up. They are vandalizing cars left and right. All you see is like F Elon Musk. Dealerships out here is like, hey, we have to pull our Tesla cars off of our lots because it's just like it's ridiculous the damage that is going to happen if you so much as put a Tesla car on your lot. You're just asking for them to come blow your lot up. Because I think people with Musk, I think he understands this. He's just gaslighting. But when you piss off that many people and they can't get to you, they will get to something that can get to you, whether it's your kids, whether it's your mama, whether it's your business. One way or another, you're going to feel this. And right now, they're making him feel it through his corporation. We're going to tear these corporations down, not just Tesla, all of them. He lost like $100 billion in a week. I don't feel bad for him because he still got 300 more billion. But what we have learned is you want to get to Donald Trump, hit his pockets. You want to get to Elon Musk, hit his pockets. He's talking about being the first trillionaire. And then you got everybody else out here like, oh, no, you're not supposed to be the first trillionaire off of our backs. That's not going to happen. And it's not just America. I think that's what people are getting caught up in. It's not just America. They did a poll in Germany. 94% said they will never, ever in their life buy a Tesla. You see in the UK, I think I sent you a picture, like on bus stops, they have like these huge signs, like anti-Musk signs. I had a friend that was coming in from the UK, and she took a picture on the monorail in the airport, the little shuttle bus. She took a picture of it, and it was like an anti-Musk poster on the shuttle bus at the airport. It's not just America. The whole world hates this man because of what he's doing. He's going from country to country trying to buy government. And right now he's under investigation in Canada, and they're talking about stripping his citizenship away. So he ain't even going to be able to go there soon. It's not just us. It's the world. Do you know how horrible of a human being you have to be for the whole entire world to be like, he got to go? And that's exactly what's going to happen. He don't see it yet, but it's going to happen.
I worry about pissing off my wife. That's enough for me. The interesting thing is that I saw Elon Musk on television. He was being interviewed on Fox News, and they were asking him about all these fires, and he said, "I just can't understand it. It's all these fires. They're putting this ablaze and this ablaze." He's always got a weird way of saying things, and he says Tesla never did anything to hurt anybody. And he says, everything I've done is productive. No, I think you meant destructive there, because that's exactly who he's being. But this is how malignant, narcissist, arrogant fucks think. They think they can do anything. But they have to understand, when you start taking away people's money, their livelihoods, their futures, their homes, their medical care, help for their kids, they're going to fucking hate your guts. No gaslighting in the world is going to wipe away what's actually happening to people, and they're going to push back. And they are pushing back hard against Elon Musk. And I tell you what, Tesla has lost 50% of its value in the stock market, and it's dropping every day. That's never coming back. Even if they kick Elon out of the board, Tesla's done. Tesla's fucking cooked.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen the board member. I don't know his name because I don't follow people like that. But he publicly has been saying, we're asking Elon Musk to resign because they're trying to soften the blow, which is, I hate when they do that. Just be like, hey, because of your politics and your brand, you're ruining it. And it's messing with my money. He needs to go. They could just say that. But they don't, oh, well, right now he's busy with, the White House and he has children. And no, he messing with y'all money. Just say it. But with Elon Musk, it's gaslighting 101. Because just like a couple of days before that, he was on Joe Rogan talking about empathy is the weakness of the Western world. So because we have empathy and we care about other people, that makes us weak. But then he turned around on Sean Hannity and said, I don't know what's going on. What happened to the tolerant left? I don't know why they're doing this. And why you're doing it. You know exactly why we're doing it. And we ain't going to stop coming for you. But he does not get to play the victim. Him, Donald Trump, they don't get to play the victim. Now, when you sitting there with $300 billion in your bank account and you want to sit here and take $1,100 from a senior citizen's social security check, not when you sit here pulling money out of people's checking account and the only income that they have is their social security. Now, when you are firing veterans, you see the suicide rate of our veterans and you take away their suicide hotline. It's insane to think that you are a victim in a situation that you created. You're not a victim, you're a perpetrator. That victim mentality that they have it makes no sense. It's gaslighting. There's no way Musk doesn't know what we think about him and why we're blowing his spots up. He know exactly why we're doing it. And that gaslighting crap, that don't work. Say
Let me
them
ask you
tears to
this.
somebody else. What do they say on the right? Facts don't care about your feelings. If
Right.
our
Right.
weakness is being empathetic, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, thanks for that advice. Empathetic, be gone. They don't like that. They don't respect that. So we need to be the opposite of that. He knows what's up. I can't
Let me
stand
ask you this. You've talked about it on the show many times,
it. Yeah,
how that at one point in your life you were in an abusive relationship.
yeah.
What's going on with Donald Trump and um, Elon Musk
Mm-hmm.
sounds like a perpetrator in domestic violence or narcissist domestic violence or whatever you want to call it. Abuse. This is abusive relationship. And there are
Yeah,
people that still want to forgive them for whatever the fuck they do. You talk to a Trumplefuck now and they go, he's doing exactly what we want him to do. Yeah, until
yeah.
he takes a piece out of you. But do you see the parallels between uh, a domestic abuse relationship and what we're dealing with these two fucks?
Yeah, not with just them two, but the people who support them at the same time. When you look at MAGA and you ask them what's gonna happen when Trump isn't here any longer, they have no idea. They don't know what their life is going to be without Donald Trump or Elon Musk in it. Like their lives revolve around them, no matter how bad they are treated, no matter the most horrible crap that these people say about you, no matter what they take away from you, what they take away from your children, you feel like they can just any day now they can change. Okay, so I've been hearing a lot from these people, like when I'm knocking on doors and stuff. Well, we just have to trust the process. Well, we have to just hurt for right now, but then it's going to get better. Like they really do think that it's going to get better. They're not going to escalate. They're not going to get any worse. They feel this way about them. It's like it's just so abusive and it's so toxic. And when it comes to people like that, I always say, like, talk to the people who have like distanced themselves, talk to the people who didn't get out and vote, because that core base that he has, you will never, ever, ever get through to them. They will leave when they are ready to leave. And there isn't anything that we could do to make them leave. Nothing at all. So it's just like you wasting time over here where it could be better spent somewhere else. I'm sorry, my voice is cracking, but I've been yelling for like 2 weeks straight.
No problem.
It's
You
abusive,
know,
very abusive.
one of the things that Donald Trump always does is make promises. The Trumplafucks will say, "Well, we got to ride it out. It's only been a month. It's only been 2 months." Donald Trump
Mm-hmm.
was very clear before he came into office. On the
Yeah,
first day, prices were going to come down. Inflation was going to come down. The stock market is going to soar. You know what's ironic about Donald Trump is he said that if Joe Biden got elected back in 2020, the stock market would crash. It did the opposite. It reached its highest heights. He said the same thing about Kamala Harris. If she's elected, the stock market will crash. That's a big deal to him. Well, now the
yeah,
stock market has crashed, literally crashed in many ways.
yeah.
Um, but now he says, well, we're going to have a little discomfort. No, bitch, that's not what you said. You said it would be bright and sunny the day you took office. And guess what? Here we the fuck are.
Look how vague that statement is. There's going
Yeah.
to have to be a little discomfort. A, what's your idea of discomfort? And B, what's a little? and see how long is this discomfort going to last, and how long is it going to affect my life and interrupt the lives of the people I care about. Like, what are the details about this discomfort? Because I can say, hey, I'm not comfortable, but the wild child, she's completely comfortable with it being 50 degrees in a room. You know what I mean? Like, what's your idea of that? They talk in general terms. They don't give any details or anything like that. And they do it on purpose. It's not because they don't know. It's just because if they talk generally, you can take whatever you want from that. You know what I mean? Like, so one person could be thinking one thing and somebody else could be thinking something completely different. I've seen people in the same house who all think that we are attacking Canada for a completely different reason. The mom thinks that we are attacking Canada because they keep smuggling drugs into America. And it's because of Canada that we have a problem with drugs. And then you have the son sitting here saying, oh, yeah, we're attacking Canada because they keep getting over us. They're not doing free deals with us. That's why we're attacking Canada. And then you have the father saying, well, we need them to be the 51st state. We don't need nothing from them. We don't need their lumber. We don't need their oil. We don't need their energy. We're energy independent, even though Canada could turn their lights out tomorrow. We're in the energy independent, but they're all in the same house. And they all think we hate Canada as America for different reasons. And the reason that they think that is because they tell so many lies, you can't keep track of it. But then they also talk in general terms. They don't say anything specific. So each person could take away from that conversation whatever they want. And then that gives Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and whoever else plausible deniability. But I never said that. I said this, knowing that other people will take away from that. Joe Rogan does the same thing. Hey, I tell people, I tell them don't listen to me. I tell them I don't know anything. But at the same time, you amplify far right voices. You have Elon Musk and Trump on your show, but you don't have anybody else on the opposite side to combat those lies. His plausible deniability is, I told y'all not to listen to me, but you know with your platform and your guests that you are going to influence people. Trump, Musk, they all do the same thing. That's just the way that they can deny the lies that they're telling people. And as a whole, people are so stupid, they don't even see that, or the people who do see it refuse to acknowledge it. It's insane. It's insane.
Well, that's why one of the troubles I have with people in social media, whether it be on TikTok or Facebook or podcast, a lot of them come on here without a lot of experience and maybe do a good job still, but they're in it for the wrong reasons. They want to get followers. They want to make money. They want to be famous. What people have to understand is when you sit in a spot like I'm sitting right now, and you have 10 listeners or you have 10 million listeners, you have a responsibility to those people, not to gaslight them, not to lie to them, because those people trust you. They trust you. And if you abuse that trust, you're a fucking piece of shit.
Yeah, that's what they do. They abuse their trust, and they also abuse their influence because they know the power of their words and the power of their voices, and they feel no responsibility towards that at all. And they don't care. I like one of the things I've noticed, and to me it's just fascinating, sad and pathetic all at the same time, is where you see people who like those triple Trumpers, and they will sit there and say at Elon Musk, at Donald Trump Jr., this happened to me. My job was gone. I voted for you, blah, blah, blah. A, to think that they supposed to sit there and read your post, that's hilarious. And B, to think that if they did see it or they did come across it, that they would care. Elon Musk would probably just block you from X or whatever it is that he want to do. It's just, to me, it's insane that they really do think that these people care, and they don't. They have a responsibility. They completely abuse that responsibility and play off of these people. And these people, they're so used to being in this abusive cycle that's what's going on. They just keep coming and coming and coming. And a lot of them, they never gonna leave. Like, they are never gonna leave. The abuser is gonna have to leave first. Like, you too weak for me, I gotta go. That's what's gonna have to happen. Or, they could croak. I ain't never talked about nobody croaking before, but I wouldn't be mad if either of them went.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, since you're out in the field and you're meeting a lot of people.
Yeah.
We've
Oh,
talked
wait,
about this before.
I was able to get an email to Max. I had another email that I set up. You have my personal one, but I sent him an email with my political email address that I have, where it's like content creators and different stuff. I set up a completely different email to keep them separate, and we was able to get an email going. I did give him some good resources in the way to hook up with people in this area and stuff, and I hope he's having fun on his vacation because he's on vacation right now. But thanks for hooking
Okay.
me up with me. I was so excited to see somebody like him that's like, I want to get involved. I want to do something, but I don't know where to start. It was really cool to kind of like help him out a little bit. So thank you for
Yeah.
introducing me to Max.
Yeah, no problem. I know he was anxious to talk to you, and I'm glad you guys were able to connect up. Um,
Yeah.
but I said, prior to the election, we kept hearing about, and I harp on this a lot because I sense something like this coming, and I don't relish the idea. But prior to the election, Trumpers would always say, well, if Donald Trump doesn't get elected, you're ready for a civil war. And I've always said I wasn't concerned about violence if Donald Trump didn't get elected. I'm more concerned about violence if Donald Trump did get elected. And
Yeah.
what Donald Trump is doing is far worse than I ever imagined he would do. When
Yeah.
you're out there in the streets, people's emotions are pretty well whipped up, and they're out
Mhm.
there motivated to protest. Do you see, as more and more people get hurt and the country gets damaged in this process, do you see that possibility of violence, these protests turning into violence? Is that a possibility?
It is. It is. I think like my TT, when I was watching the Free Palestine protest on television, I was like texting her, and I think I texted you too. Like I was starting to like get kind of worried because I'm like, these is not white Trump supporters. Like these people could be hurt. Like we see them taking people and sending them wherever, and people just they just I say they just disappear people because there's no way that we cannot track where our friends, families, relatives are. Like they are literally doing that. The part that surprises me though is the fact that it's not progressed further than what it is right now. Every single time I go to a protest, I'm like, I wonder if this is going to be the day where like that spark is like lit and people are just supposed to go the F off. And I agree with you on one thing. I think I know the catalyst of that, and it's going to be Social Security and Medicare. I think those are going to be the catalyst, even though Republicans are trying to be sneaky about it and they're not getting rid of it. They're just gutting it and making it difficult to get your benefits. If people don't have nothing left, then they're just like, you know what? I don't have nothing else to lose. I'm just going to go for it. And I think that is going to happen. I just don't know when it's going to happen, but it is. And we have people that you have to have like good organizers that can like rein people in. So if they're trying to like go into a window or break a building or something, or good organizers will be like pulling that person back, like, hey, that's not what we own. If that's what you're trying to do, you're gonna have to go somewhere else. And that keeps people reined in. But you can only do that for so long. Because if you have one agitator and you have like three people making sure that agitator is not taking it too far, what happened when you got 20 or 30 agitators? It's at
Yeah.
that point it starts to pop off. I seen kind of like a little bit of it at the Heritage Foundation protest. There was like some I don't even understand why those Trump supporters were over there, but they were over there. And this guy, Cliff, he like jumps up on a car and he is like talking and getting everybody hyped up. And the Trump supporter says something and he like turns around and he was like, hey, don't you have a Russian ping that you should be sucking right now? And then he just completely reads this man for filth. Like how that guy didn't cry and just walk away. And everybody was like cracking up and laughing. But what you didn't see was like in the background, it was like a couple of people that was like getting ready to go and get him. But it was a couple other people that like pulled them to the side and like, nah, he good, he got this. You know, they're gonna go about their business. And they did. But it takes people to keep other people reined in when you have situations like that, when tensions is high. You know, you have people over here banning books. You have people that don't know how their children are going to get to school. How are you going to go to work if your child can't go to school? What's going to happen when you can't feed your child? And knowing that the Heritage Foundation is at the head of all that, people were really pissed off. And then you have a Trump supporter over here. I think he said something like the country was better off since Trump came on the political scene or something like that. And it instantly just made people pissed off because that's lies. You're lying. Look what he's doing to my child. And you're lying. And they want to go over there and like beat the lies out of them. But I think at some point, the organizers or the people that keep it calm, it's just going to be too many people to keep calm at that point. And then I do think Social Security will be the catalyst for that. And not just because of the seniors, but I can't sit here and watch Grammy or any of the ladies go through that or try to figure out what we're going to do with them. Or if I have a child or a parent in hospice and Social Security is paying for that or Medicare is paying for that, this person needs to be in hospice. I can't do anything with this person at home except for watch them die. Or you have children whose parents died and you're a single income household when you used to be a 2-income household. How are you going to feed your children? What are you supposed to do? And they just take that away from you? When people start messing with people's parents, I always say they start messing with your mama and your kids, it's fighting the time at that point. And I think that the right buttons haven't been pushed yet. And those buttons is going to be people mama and their kids. Once that start to happen, it's over. And I won't even blame nobody for that. Because you mess with my mama, we got a problem. You mess with my girls, we got a problem. Whole problem.
I wonder sometimes if the violence is a necessity at this point. I mean, we've seen a lot of problems going out there. We're seeing a lot of protests. We're seeing the media trying to not cover it.
Yeah.
Does it have to get to that level at this point? I mean, we've got Republicans saying, "Oh, this is too far," or people saying that's too far, but and they want to back out of it. It's too fucking late now. We're too far gone. Something has to happen. Profoundly has to happen, and I'm sorry to say that I think that it's going to take some violence to actually get it through some motherfucker's head, some Republicans' heads. Because let's be honest, the Republicans could fix this real easy. They could impeach Donald Trump and kick Elon Musk out of the way, but they refuse to do it. So when that violence comes, not necessarily to Elon Musk, not necessarily to Donald Trump, but every Republican who is doing these things, those people that are on lower levels and state levels and even on the federal levels, they're going to have to suffer some consequences before they get enough courage to fucking push back against things that are obviously bad for this country.
Yeah, the reason that it's a necessity is because for whatever reason, right now, it's not being taken seriously by the media, right? And so when you have that violence erupt, then that brings attention to the cause. And at that point, like you can ignore people right now, but when stuff like that starts to happen, you can't ignore it. Like you cannot ignore it. It's kind of like this smoldering fire that's kind of like each day that this crap is going on, because it's not sustainable, is giving more and more and more oxygen to that fire. And one thing that fires need is oxygen. And the more this crap goes on, the more oxygen is going towards that fire. And it's just a matter of time. And it is a necessity because it kind of seems like without it, not just the media, but Republicans, politicians on the right and the left, they don't pay attention until it gets to that point. So like right now, everybody's like, hey, we're getting pissed off. We're getting pissed off. I can't tolerate this. I can't deal with this. This is too much. This is too much. And they just ignore it. But then when you pop off, all of a sudden, they can't ignore it. And it's so sad that we have representatives to where you have to allow it to get to that point before they will so much as lift a finger. It is insane that we have allowed these people to get that much power and control over us to where we have no say in anything on any level. It is insane that we've allowed that to happen. So I do blame politicians, but I believe the bulk of that is on the people, because we are the ones who continue to put ourselves in that situation. And that's how we need to change our thinking on the people that we vote for and why we are allowing ourselves to be walked over like that.
You know, when we talk about these town halls and the Republicans go out and they get absolutely ravaged, they're trying to divert, distract, gaslight. They're saying, well, that's just Democratic interlopers, which is not the case. I'm curious, when you're out in these protests, obviously you have Democrats out there, the libtards fighting against the evil Donald Trump. But are you seeing Republicans out there too that are fighting along with you? People that may have voted for Donald Trump or maybe kind of supported Donald Trump and are now fearful and fighting back. Are you seeing that in the crowds? And what kind of percentage are you thinking?
It's more and more. And then sometimes you will know where somebody is, but they just don't want to say it. But it's like they do come out. Sometimes they will say, hey, I voted for him. I didn't vote for this, whatever, whatever. And I give them the same like speech. I don't feel sorry for you. I feel sorry for your children and the people who depended on you to make the right decisions, but I don't feel sorry for you. And A, why are you coming over here looking for comfort? Because we don't have anything to give you. And B, out of everybody in this situation right now, Republicans in gerrymandered districts, like heavily gerrymandered districts, I'm talking about Jim Jordan, Ted Cruz, Marjorie Taylor Greene, all of those people in those districts are not using their powers because all you have to do is tell these people like, hey, you rigged it to where the only people whose voice and vote count is mine. And so now we are in the power to either keep you in your position or take you out of that position. What decision are you going to try to make? Us or Donald Trump? Who you rolling with? They can easily say that, but they just roll over and act like, oh, I can't do anything. I didn't vote for this. They little crime videos online and all that other kind of stuff. That doesn't do anything for anybody. What you can do is the power that you do have for being in a gerrymandered district is use that power and just say, hey, you can vote it out next cycle. We're not cool with this. And we know that other people's votes don't count, but ours do. And that would like make most Republicans piss on themselves and go tuck tail. But they just online crying about it. And I know that when I see that, they're going to vote for these Republicans again because they're not even trying to use power. They're not even saying, hey, special elections is coming up. This district that you gerrymandered, we all going to vote for the Democrat. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. They don't do it. They just whine and cry and they are a victim, just like they've been trained to be victims and they act like there's nothing that they can do. And every time I run into somebody like that, dry your tears. I ain't got nothing for you. But you need to be able to use your power and vote them out. And you know you can do it because your votes, like this handful of people over here, your votes are the votes that's either keeping them in or taking them out. And I have to think that they know that, but people have been arguing with me like, no, they really didn't know that until you told them. So I always make sure to tell them that you have power, use it. Why
You
you
know,
over
it's
here crying?
interesting. What's interesting, when I started talking to you a long time ago, you were a very compassionate woman, welcoming of everybody, caring for everybody. But I think the
Yeah,
wild child and me and some of these other rational boomer podcast people, the Wills, the Erickson stuff, they changed a little bit. Now old
yeah,
soul's saying, fuck your feelings. We don't feel sorry for you. Go fuck yourself. And I'm proud of you for standing up. And you know, it's being compassionate. It's good, but only to those people who deserve to be compassionate toward. There are some
yeah,
people that don't learn, some people that don't deserve it, and maybe they change their ways at some point. But you got to be tough. And old soul, I'm not saying you were never tough. You were tough, but you were more compassionate. And now you're ready to say, "Fuck it, let's go."
yeah. I think, you know, like Uncle Cleo, he told me that. He was like, I had a girlfriend like you back in the day, because he used to be like a Black Panther or whatever. And he was like, she used to always show up to the meetings and she would have her bring us cookies and water and all this other kind of stuff. She was so sweet. He's like, and then one day she came in there with an Afro pick and she was ready to go. He was like, you going through your Afro pick stage, girl? I was like, it's really,
You
really
are.
hard. It's hard not to when you see what these people's decisions and choices are and how they like hurt and affect other people. Like my voice and my energy is not going to be wasted on the perpetrator. It's on the person over here that needs help. And I can't sit here until Chuck Schumer and other Democrats like grow a backbone, like man up, get a spine, fight back if I'm not doing that myself. So uh, it's weird. I have to separate myself from that. But at the same time, it's like I just kind of have to be tough too, even though sometimes it's hard. But yeah, you just kind of have to because it's not the moment for compassion and feelings and caring. I do, but it's not always appropriate when you're dealing with certain people. And they don't even respect that anyway. They look at your empathy, your tears, your hug, like, oh, I'm so sorry. They look at that as weakness and they prey on that. And it's just like, nah, I'm good. I'm gonna keep it for my family and my community, but Republic, I just don't have that same type of tolerance for them that I used to. Um, it's a decision that I make, but I was kind of pushed into making a decision, and that's the choice that I went with. So it is what it
With,
is.
with all that's going on, the one thing we are short of is time because things
Yeah,
are happening quickly. And when people
yeah,
say to Chuck Schumer or some of these other people, grow a spine, we don't have time for them to grow a spine.
mhm,
What they need to do is step aside. We need to kick their ass out and get somebody who's going
mhm.
to be the general or the fighter right now because we're in the fight. We're not preparing for a fight. We're in the middle
Yeah,
of the motherfucking fight. And if you're not a fighter, go the fuck away.
yeah. And I think like a lot of people don't realize it is up to us. Like we are
It
on our
is.
own. The only reason Donald Trump and Elon Musk have the power that they did and the influence that they do is our judicial system enabled them. Both parties enabled them. Donors enabled it. Like their supporters enabled them. Without the enablers, they would be nothing. And so for us to come along and just kind of like be diplomatic about it and compassionate about it or the tolerant left, it's just another form of enabling them. And that's not something that we have the time to do or something that we should be willing to do anyway. Because I was Rachel Maddow, she did a segment where it's been like I think 2 or 3 segments she did on this about the marshals showing up with Elon Musk and making these people let them in. But the judges and attorneys have been asking these people for proof that you are the marshals. They don't have any documentation. They don't have any badges. They don't have any proof. And what really cracked it open, this was crazy when I was like seeing this crap. There's other like private businesses. They are not part of the government, even though they have government contracts. These are not federal workers. This is nothing to do with the government. They just have a contract, they do their business, and that's it. They show up with marshals to one of these offices, and the people are like, nope, we're not a part of the federal government. You cannot come in here. And so they say, hey, we're gonna go get the marshals and you're gonna let us in here. And that office said, bet, do what you gotta do. They left and they didn't come back. But then they come back a couple of days later, and these are not the quote unquote marshals. These are people with guns, like armed people, and they got their way into that building. And so
You know how they
judges,
got in? You know how they got in?
hmm,
You know how they got in?
they had
The professional, well, not only guns, but the professional security that was protecting that building. They
yeah,
went up to the professional security company and said, if you ever want another fucking government contract, you let us in. So
yeah,
they coerced their way in. And what you're talking about is the National Institute for Peace, which
yes,
isn't a government agency. It was created by the government, but they support themselves.
yeah.
They may have contracts with the government, but they had no business going there. Um,
And
I
I,
said something
I
in
think
TikTok.
I have I have because my brother he's a private security contractor. He like does work in casinos with like celebrities and stuff, right?
Right.
And the first time he saw it, he was like, "That's private security. That's not the marshals. Like these people have no authority." And this was before people knew that these are not marshals. Like at that time, everybody was thinking that these are U.S. Marshals that's rolling around with ketamine Karen and his little geek squad, right? And I thought they were marshals. My brother was like, those are not marshals. I work with marshals for celebrities. I work with private security. I work with police officers that roll with certain celebrities, right? Those
Yeah.
are not marshals. And I was just like, how is Elon Musk going to go up there with these people and say they marshals and they not? Like, that's a crime to impersonate an officer. He was like, them ain't marshals old. I don't give a damn what you said. Those are not marshals. And I am thinking now that this right here that they're doing is going to come back to bite them in their butt. Because if they cannot show proof that these are marshals and judges are already getting sick of their butts, it's not going to go well for them if they keep doing this. And then if it comes down to private security and a U.S. Marshal, who do you think the judge is going to side with? It's like nothing that they're doing is illegal. I mean, it's legal. It's all illegal. All of it is illegal. And they're just getting away with it. But if our judicial system stopped enabling them, they wouldn't be able to get away with it because there are things that judges can do.
Yeah.
It's
I
crazy
have
every
to.
time I look at stuff, I look at it like how I grew up and where I'm from. You ducking and dodging somebody that you owe money to, they not chasing you. I know what bus stop your kids get on and off the bus at. I know where your baby mama work. I know where your grandmama live. So I'm not chasing you. I'm just letting you know that one way or another, you're going to give us our money. And if you got to sacrifice your family to do it, that's on you, right? Judges can do the same thing. They could literally pull Elon Musk in. They could pull these attorneys in and they could say, here's my order. You violate that order, you need to go to jail. Here's my order. You violate that, you need to go to jail. Not come turn yourself in tomorrow or none of that stuff. Bailiff, get him, take him to jail. That's it. And just go after the people who are closest to Trump and enabling Trump. And then you have to ask yourself, how many of these people do you think is really going to just go to prison for Trump like that? You think Mike Johnson, he want to be in prison with Fleece Johnson? I don't think so. Elon Musk want to be in prison with Fleece? No, that's not going to happen. When you put pressure, you can't touch Trump, but you can touch the people around him. And those are the people who are in a position to get him up out of the way. I look at these judges like they have power, for whatever reason, they are not using it. But the way that they're pissing judges off now, hopefully we'll start to see that happen because they can take care of the situation. They just choosing not to.
Well, I think judges, federal judges, are already pissed. I think even the Supreme Court's getting a little upset. What Donald Trump is trying to do is take away all power from federal courts, from district courts, from the Supreme Court, and I think people
They
are
gave
feeling
it
the
to him.
pressure. And Justice, yeah, they gave it to him. Justice Roberts gave him the immunity thing, but now
Yeah,
he's pushing back about what Donald Trump's trying to do. That's what these people do. They enable Donald Trump, and they wait to push back when it's too fucking late, when it's already happened, and that's ridiculous. I did a TikTok and I asked a question. Haven't got a good answer for it, but there are people all over our government, whether we're talking about the military, whether we're talking about judicial system, judges, police, um, politicians, they
yeah,
all tell us we took an oath to the Constitution, not a man, not an office. We took an oath to protect the Constitution. Politicians, military, police, judicial. Where the fuck are you? I mean, here's the deal. Our Constitution is being attacked currently.
yeah,
This is the one job you were told to do is protect the Constitution, yet nobody's doing it. And here's
yeah,
my contention. When this is all over, when this is all done and Donald Trump is gone and Elon Musk is gone and all this is done, we need to go to every person in the Republican Party, every person in the judicial system, every
yeah,
person in military, whatever, and say, look, you violated your oath. You're
yeah.
fucking done. You're fucking
Mhm.
gone. That's what should happen.
Yeah. Institutions don't uphold themselves. Like laws don't enforce themselves. It's the person who took the oath who has to enforce those laws, whether it's a police officer or a judge, teacher, whoever. It's the same thing when it comes to Congress. You took an oath. The Constitution isn't going to enforce itself. That's why you are there to enforce the Constitution. And Republicans right now, it's just like, it's a power grab, it's a money grab. And on top of that, whatever they're being told behind the scenes, they are betting on that. And we have to make sure that they crap out, because whatever they are betting on is not going to be worth it in the end. And we are the ones that have to make sure that it's not worth it in the end. Like when people are like, they're not going to come after Social Security. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, yes, they are. Don't want to scare nobody, but that's what they're doing. And nobody saw that. In my mind, I know these type of people, they just thugs in suits. And this is their opportunity and they are taking it. They are betting on either rigging the next election or gerrymandering. Like they are betting on those sneaky plans that they have in the background. They are betting on that to get them through this point. And right now on the right and the left, the problem is politicians are more afraid of Donald Trump and Elon Musk than they are of the people. And we have to enforce some kind of pressure in some kind of way to make them more afraid of us than they are of them. And it can't be like the town halls, those are great, but we see that they could just ignore town halls. They could just cancel them, or they could do the ones that the Wild Child and I went to. We didn't even go to it. They canceled it. And then when they finally got around to it, they had it on Zoom and they were reading random questions. And the people on the conference call was like, why aren't you guys reading the real questions that we asked? Because it was just fluff stuff. We knew they weren't reading questions that came from the people. So we see that they can get themselves around certain situations. We have to put them in a situation where they can't get around it. They have to face us. They don't have any choice but to do that, so that they can't run away. They can't be ducking and dodging. That's what we have to do to them. And, just depends on the district or whatever, but everybody has a pressure point and we just have to find it and push it. That's what's going to help out.
Do you think, I sometimes think that this has gotten so bad, maybe because it needed to. I mean,
yeah.
we've been going through a lot of nasty shit that we didn't know about for many years, many decades. A lot of this stuff, maybe not to this extent, but a lot of bad stuff's been going on and it's been under the cover of darkness, or the media didn't report on it. Donald Trump's such a dumbass that he brings it all to the surface. Is there any part of you, in spite of people suffering, think this is a good thing? Because this will end eventually. These people can't continue at this pace without crashing and burning. And when we come out the other side, does this put more pressure on the government by way of the people than they've ever had before? They'll be under a microscope more so?
Yeah, I think so. And I remember something that you used to say, I think it was like before the election, you used to say this all the time, when you were like, we have swung so far right that we have to be so drastic on the left that it kind of brings us back to the center. And I think that's what we're seeing right now. Like we are so far to the right. And as a whole, as a people, we have to work hard to drag it all the way to the left. And we already know that most of the people is kind of like in the center left. But once we do that, then we can kind of get back to that position. But we have to go through it before we can do it. And that's on us as a whole. Like I was always told, like my grandmother growing up, like the worst thing that you could do for yourself is get comfortable. Like whether you're in a relationship, you get too comfortable, you start to take certain things for granted, whatever. That's the worst thing you could do to your relationship. The worst thing you could do with your child is, oh, I got a good kid. I know she's gonna do the right thing all the time. You comfortable. You're not doing your job actively as a parent. And I think for us as a people, we were way too comfortable to where like only 40-something% of the country is even bothering to vote. And people in red states, they are just able to vote based off of feelings and racism because they know at the end of the day, especially politicians, that Democrats is going to step in, they're going to do the right thing, whatever. And then Democrats, they're going to fold when they're going to like, we want to give kids free meals, but okay, we can get them to cancel the free meals if they give us this and that. And like, they are sitting there like gambling back and forth with our lives as if it's like some kind of game and not real life. And like real people are not going to be affected by that. We were comfortable that we're in America. Our our democracy is going to hold up no matter what. Can't nobody touch it. We got all these guardrails in place, whatever. And the first thing Donald Trump does is come in and be like, yeah, these people is comfortable. And he completely took advantage of that. Us not paying attention, us not believing that it can get as bad as it is right now. And even today, we see that. People to this day still don't believe that it can get worse. Every time I see people say something like, oh, that can never happen, or because of this law, or because of this, that, and the third, he could never do this. And then 2 days later, he is doing that. There's a tracker online for Project 2025. And every single time they do something, it checks off that list on Project 2025. And we are like 70% of Project 2025 right now. And people are still thinking, it can't get any worse. He can't do this. He can't do that. They can't take this. They can't take that. And that's them being comfortable and also in denial. But I understand why people are in denial. I actually have empathy for them because if you are not in denial, most of you, it's just stressed the hell out. Like, how do you rationalize in your brain what is about to happen? So you have to tell yourself something to stop yourself from like losing it and going crazy. I get that. But at the same time, that denial is not going to help you. It's like you just kind of have to face it. Like, yeah, this can get worse, but before it gets worse, what can I do about it? What can we do about it? Ignoring it is not going to help. And I think a lot of the denial is on the right. They are so far in denial. There's no way he's going to gut the Department of Education. He was just joking when he said that. Da, 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 da. And now they're sitting there. Well, my child has an IUP. I have to go to work. I have a disabled child. My child has cerebral palsy. I need extra aids at school. What's going to happen? What's going to happen? Because they were comfortable and they thought that Donald Trump would never do that. And they also thought if he did do that, that Congress will hold him accountable. After we saw the judicial system not hold him accountable, after we saw the Supreme Court not hold him accountable, after we saw voters not hold him accountable, they thought somehow some magic wand was going to be waved and that fool will be held accountable. And now they're in a position to where he's not being held accountable. What do I do? Those are questions you should have been asking before he put his plan in place to gut the Department of Education. But now he's doing it. And it's almost like we don't have a choice but to move on to the next thing because we can't get wrapped up in him gutting the Department of Education when we can clearly see Social Security is on the chopping block. So it's like, yeah, this is bad right here, but we got to get ahead of Social Security. Like we have to get ahead of that. So it's not like we don't care about the Department of Education, but that plan is already in place. It's a little too late for that right now. We have to get ahead of the next thing that we see coming and do everything we can to stop that from happening. And people still don't believe it. And I'm like, I know why you don't believe it, but denial does not help in these kind of situations. It does not help. And it's so sad to say that because I know people's mental is going to take a hit.
It always struck me as strange whenever I talk to a Trump-la-fuck and they are in denial right now and they go, well, I didn't think he meant that. I think what he meant was, I didn't think he was going to do that. Why would you vote for somebody that you can't trust anything he says?
Not only that, but how are you running around? How are they running around saying, I like Donald Trump. He tells it how it is. He holds no punches. Yeah, he called people's names, but he is a straight shooter. He says it exactly how it is. And then in the next breath, turn around and say, well, I didn't think he meant it. I didn't think he was going to do it. Well, the fact that he means what he says and he says what he means is the reason that you voted for him. How the hell are you surprised by any of this? The stuff these people tell themselves so that they can sleep at night, is beyond me. It is beyond me. It's insane. I don't get it. These people crazy.
I'm convinced people that love Donald Trump and still support Donald Trump know
Yeah,
nothing about politics, know nothing about truth, justice, rule of law. They know nothing about this. I was
yeah.
talking to a Trumplefuck one time on a live, and I said, "You're basically a fucking fanboy that's into his vibe." Kind of like
Mm-hmm.
why people like Justin Bieber. You don't know who Justin Bieber is personally or what he does in his private life. You just
Yeah,
like him because you think he's cool. You like
yeah,
somebody who's a tough talker. I also think part of this is that it's part of politics and government fault in this country. There's a
yeah,
lot of people on the lower end of the spectrum, intellectually and financially in the red states that feel oppressed by the government, feels the government takes advantage. They don't have as many opportunities as, say, black people or people in the North or whatever. And when they
yeah,
get a guy who says, I'm going to fight against that corrupt government, they get behind him. Even though he has no substance, even though he has no plans, they've got a
yeah,
champion who's going to yell and scream like they do in the fucking bar when they talk about politics. They got somebody of a similar mind, equally as dumb, and he's ranting and raving, and he's got a platform, so they get behind him and they stay behind him no matter what, even if they
yeah.
lose.
The one thing out of all, because Republicans been playing the long game. You know what I mean? 50 years of presidents, and we're sitting here saying it's settled law. You cannot overturn Roe v. Wade. Period. You can't do it. They're like, F it. We gonna do it,
Yeah.
bet. And they played the long game. Out of every move that they've made, every strategic thing that they did, whether it failed or whether it succeeded, out of everything, the one thing that Republicans did that is like paying off like nothing else right now, and it is the attack on education. Just completely just attacking it, making education seem like something that's bad because how stupid they got these people right now is working so well for them. It's like that's the one thing that they did that is like got them to the spot that they are right now. Like you will see pastors in churches, leaders in churches, even politicians. You have people in states saying, I don't want my child to go to Harvard and come back as one of them woke liberals. Nope, not my child. They gonna go work down at the farm. And it's just like, education is a bad thing. You don't want your child to be educated. That is how deep it is. Imagine somebody saying something like that and being able to manipulate them to do absolutely anything. Politicians love people like that. And to be honest with you, hoes love people like that because you can get all his money when he does not even think. And that is the one thing right now that is just paying off for Republicans. It's just how ignorant and dumbed down they have done to these people in these states. And they do not go off of logic. They don't even believe facts. You tell them something that's factual, they can verify it, and then they can turn around and say, that's fake news. You can tell people we haven't had a measles outbreak in this country in like decades. But when people stop getting immunization, you have the measles, children are in the hospital, we have children dying over here, and they're like, well, it's still my choice to vaccinate my child. Like, they still don't believe it. Like, these are the type of people who literally will touch the stove with their left hand and see that the stove is hot. And then they will turn around and touch the stove again with their right hand, knowing that it's hot. They have made these people, like, they're not brainwashed. They are just dumb. And
They are dumb.
to feel it because nothing you say or do is going to take that or make them think any differently. So you either have to speak to them on their level, and I see some people can do that, or they just have to see it for themselves. And right now they are feeling it and they are seeing it for themselves. But while they're thinking, that's where we come in. And we have to say, you've hired the same Republican for the last 20 years. How is it a Democrat's fault in New York that y'all don't have new textbooks in your school? How is that their fault? How is it somebody in Chicago, a politician in Chicago's fault that your senator took the money for the infrastructure bill and didn't get these roads and bridges fixed up? You know, like you have to tell them when you vote for somebody and they don't do what you want them to do, you probably shouldn't vote for that person again. Like they don't grasp that. Oh, you're just a liberal. You just want us to put Democrats in place. But you do have to like let them see that. And the unfortunate part about all of this is these people have children and their children are going hungry because they reelected somebody who said, we don't need to waste money on free school lunches. We need to make these children go to school. Or Huckabee Sanders, we need to spend $400,000 on a podium. Or in Texas, we need to put immigrants on a plane and spend $800,000 sending them to California. Stupid stuff like that. They have to see that for themselves and say, maybe they don't want to help our children. Maybe they don't want to help us. These people voted for Donald Trump after on day one, he came in there and said, oh yeah, you know how Joe Biden said you only have to pay $35 for that insulin? Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and cancel that. You can go back to paying $200 now. And that
Right.
person will sit there and argue you to death that Donald Trump is putting them and America first and Joe Biden put America last.
You know,
Make that make
I
sense.
mentioned before that you have spent a lot of time and still are compassionate to a certain extent. I'm maybe not as compassionate. I mean, for those
Yeah,
people who deserve it, I am compassionate. But when it comes to like the measles or COVID and people dying, elderly dying, kids dying, um, it's hard to feel sympathy. I mean, it feels like we're just culling the herd of the lowest common denominator. And it's sad when kids get sick with measles and maybe die, but there
yeah,
ain't nothing I can do about that. My kids got the measles shot. My grandkids get the measles shot. They're going to
yeah,
be fine because we're not stupid. If some parents didn't get their kids measles shots or COVID shots or whatever fucking kind of shots and the kids get it, that's sad that a kid gets it, but I'm not going to feel sorry for them. You put yourself in this situation, and maybe if we had less of you motherfuckers, we'd be better off.
yeah. I don't know if you saw it. There's a county in America, right? And this one county, I can't even remember which network did the piece on it because I was so baffled by what I was seeing. But this one county is the county in all of America who are the most recipients of Medicaid. They were interviewing people in this county well, they had oxygen tanks like masks on their faces. Like people were sitting there like, yeah. The one guy said that if Donald Trump and Elon Musk cut off Medicaid, that he can't afford his medication because it's like thousands of dollars a month. He has an oxygen tank on his face. They interview a woman, God bless her, an immigrant who got sick because working in the field the pesticides that they were like flying over the plane and dropping down on these people, those things made her sick. She gave birth to a child with no arm, like the child was missing an arm. And the white doctor told her, oh, looks like something's missing. My child arm is gone. What are you talking about? She has a disabled daughter. She has a sister that's disabled. She's disabled herself. They survive off of government programs, Medicaid, Social Security, and SNAP benefits. And they were sitting there. She said she voted for Trump because he had the same values that she did. She was one of these single issue voters. Like, if you are pro abortion, I'm not going to vote for you. Like, that's the person she is. And she voted for Donald Trump. And she said to this man on camera, they cannot survive without this assistance because she can't work and they want to make working a condition of getting your benefit, not knowing that if you could work, most people would choose to go to work. But anyway, her sister and her daughter needs round the clock care. It's hard to be mad at her because you see how much she does for them and you know she loves them so freaking much. But she sat at her kitchen table with this reporter and he asked her, knowing what you know now, what would you have done in 2024? And she said, I just wouldn't have voted at all.
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah. You know,
I do
it's hard
not,
to,
I don't use the B word. But when she said that, I was like, bitch, like I did not know what else to say when she said that. It didn't even dawn on her that not voting is helping Donald Trump. The people who sat at home pushed him over the top. Not only that, you voted against yourself. And when you are not able to, your daughter and your sister perish. This whole town, when they take away these benefits, are going to be gone. And 70% of this county voted for Donald Trump. And you
Well, I
just
think
have to
we
think, I see stuff like that. And it is so hard to, like, it's an internal struggle within myself, because when you see somebody like that and you see how bad her situation is, and you see a disabled child, and you see a disabled sister, and you see this woman sick herself, like handling it, taking care of them, it's like you have to respect that. But at the same time, it's like, how do you care when somebody will sit there and say, yep, I'll vote against myself, my daughter, and my sister next time again? It's so hard to,
I think you finally realize that we can't help people who are unwilling to help themselves. I mean,
yeah.
you just got to cut bait and let it go. It's unfortunate, but I can't help you if you don't want to help yourself. So I'm not going to worry about you. I'm going to worry about those people we're saving, those people in my family and my friends and people of
Yeah,
a like mind. I got to focus on them. You people can fucking choke and die for all I give a shit because you tried. I mean, it's like the election. We kept saying, you know, you got to vote for Kamala because of this, this, and this, Donald Trump,
yeah.
this, and this. They didn't listen. We did the best we could. Now, if you're suffering, shit happens, man. I wish you the best.
We need to think about, like, when you sit here, you say Donald Trump, who is sitting here telling you that you're either going to be destitute or you're going to be dead. And they have this superior complex where the survival of the fittest. And if you can't survive what we are supposed to do to you, then you don't deserve to be here. Like, that's their mindset. And you have Kamala Harris over here saying, we need to expand Medicaid benefits. We need to be able to pay in-home care providers covered by Medicaid. And you are watching this woman who is like the one person I know 1,000%. She needs an in-home caregiver. You know what I mean? And then you think about, like, when she's gone, what's going to happen to her daughter and her sister? So
Yeah.
that is something that is life changing for this woman. And she's just like, some woman somewhere is having an abortion, and because of that, I'm going to sacrifice myself, my child, and my sister. And it's just kind of like what you said, you just like, you know what, I can't help you here. But at the same time, when you look at her daughter and her sister and you see that they are dependent on her, it's kind of hard to just be like, well, you get what you get, because it's not affecting just her, it's affecting them too. And they didn't even have a voice in this. It's just,
Yeah.
it's the
Well,
most
I tell you,
frustrating thing I've ever seen in my life, but it is what it is.
when I talk about not being compassionate, I
Yeah.
want to qualify that because when I do the TikTok lives or YouTube live, inevitably somebody will come on and they will be an elderly person or an older person, and they will genuinely come to me and say, you know, I live in this small town in the middle of a red state. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I voted for Kamala Harris, but I'm terrified that my Social Security would be cut off
Yeah.
because that's all I live on. That's all I've got. How am I going to pay my rent if Social Security is cut off?
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff breaks my heart. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I'm 65. I get Social Security and I get Medicare starting next month. Okay. Now, if they
Yeah.
cut both those things off, it would be tough on me, but I'll survive. I'll
Yeah.
survive. But not everybody's in that position. And those people that have counted on this and now have the possibility of it taken away from them, it's absolutely heartbreaking to see this. And I don't know what to, you know, I think if they do mess with Social Security, I don't think it will last very long because this country will fucking burn down.
Yeah.
Literally. You might have to get martial law to calm people down. But still, these elderly people, these young kids, they have to sit and worry about this. Their fucking
Yeah.
life is tough enough as it is. And now they got to worry about it all being taken away. That
Yeah.
I have compassion for those folks, and it pisses me off, and it kind of spurs me on to want to fight harder, talk louder, do whatever I can. I'm limited here as to what I can do. Our only hopes is that people who hear this get mad, and then they tell other people, and they get mad, and we get the groundswell with the protest and the pushback we're seeing now. But
Yeah.
that's absolutely heartbreaking that you're telling people who tried to do the right thing, have done the right thing, that their
Yeah.
lives may be disrupted and destroyed. And I've told Trumplefucks this. I said, look, they want you to feel sorry if their funding is cut off some way. And I said, I do not feel sorry for you. In fact, I have a little hatred for you because the way you voted is causing you this trouble. But the
Yeah.
way you voted is causing trouble to innocent people. So you're as much a victim as you are a culprit. You are just as guilty as Donald Trump because you supported that and you knew better. And they said, well, I didn't know better. I said, how does a dumb white guy in Minnesota know better in 2016? And in 8 years, you can't figure it out when it's right there in front of your face. I'm sorry. You didn't want to know better. You made the wrong choice. You fucked up. So suffer, bitch. But I don't like you because of what you did to those people who are innocent.
I have some tips that we're doing in our community to help some people out, but I agree with you on that because it's like when you did the right thing and you made the right choices and somebody came along and made your choice invalid is
Right.
a hard thing to deal with, especially when it comes to your livelihood and your children's livelihood and your grandchildren's livelihood. It is really difficult, no matter how bad that Trump supporter is or how sympathetic you could be towards them, it is really hard not to just look at them and just be pissed off because you took away somebody else's quality of life and you just kind of like pooped over them for, and I can understand if Trump was like some guy that just came out of nowhere and he came from Timbuktu and he talked your language and all that other kind of stuff. I can get that. But for the party who is of the working man, you getting up every day and you are working with, you got calluses on your hands. You are a maid in a hotel or something. Like it's really, really hard jobs. And you have a trust fund billionaire from New York who is going to come and tell you what it is about your life that you could improve on and how he's going to do that. The fact that they didn't see this snake oil salesman coming from a mile away lets me know that all that stuff that they talked, they don't know nothing about that. Because everybody I know was like, yeah. And that's not even without reading up on him and seeing who he is. They read up. I was like trying to give people passes for 2016, like they didn't know. Yeah, they know because they heard the grab them by the you know what tape. They heard that. They heard him telling an 8-year-old, I'm going to be dating you in 10 years. They
Yeah.
saw him and they heard him do all of this. Even if they didn't know about his racism and his grifting and his charities that he stole from, they knew who he was and they voted for him anyway. And you can't say, oh, I just didn't like Hillary, that's why I did it. That's not an excuse to trust some con man like that with your life and your family's life. Who would trust Donald Trump with anything? But now he's so ingrained into their psyche with this abusive relationship and all of this racism and red meat that he keeps throwing at them. And they just fawn all over it. And those people
Yeah.
will never get it. That woman that I was talking about a minute ago, she will never get it. She's just not gonna get it. And it's hard to just kind of like give up on people and be like, you know what? You too far gone. I'm out. And I have a problem with that. But I have to learn how to be uncomfortable. Like I can't reach everybody. I can't sit down and have a civil conversation with everybody. It's just that's not gonna happen. So I just need to leading where they at, and I need to keep it pushing. The hardcore MAGA base, I used to try to reach them. I'll do it no more. Y'all on y'all. Like this is what y'all want. Have at it. There's nothing you can do. And it's hard to give up on your fellow citizens. It's really hard to do that, but it is what it is. But I have
Well,
tips on what they can do for people
go
who
ahead.
struggling. So one of the things, like if you have children who go to school, and like if there's children in your neighborhood up the street or whatever, and their parents can't feed them lunch, and this is something people are not talking about, but food pantries, they cut $1 billion from food pantries. So it's going to be a lot of hungry people out there, especially when you're firing them and getting rid of their social safety nets. So you're going to fire a bunch of people and you're going to tell them, well, you can't get food stamps, you can't get Medicaid, you can't get anything. We're going to fire you and good luck with that. So there's going to be a lot of hungry people and children out there. Something that we've been doing, like the kids in our community is like, oh, do you know a kid at school? Like they seem a little rough. Maybe they're hungry. They never have their lunch. You'll be surprised. They're like, oh yeah, this one kid, he's always hungry. He's always bumming food off of me. So just like pack a couple of extra sack lunches and send it to school with your kids and be like, hey, that hungry kid, give them their sack lunch. Make sure that they eat. Or if you have a senior across the street, hey, I'm cooking dinner tonight. You want me to bring you a plate? Stuff like that is so simple. But another thing that my daughter said that her and her friends are organizing to do, and I thought this was like amazing. I have a good child. One of the things that they're doing is they're making it very, very hard to even call Social Security. They're closing down offices for Social Security. And then they are telling these people that you have to have an in-person appointment. If you don't have a building in your area, how are you supposed to get there? Well, you can set your appointment up online, or they don't take walk-ins anymore, is offering them rides when they do get an appointment. But something else that you could do is you can go online for them, because a lot of these people, they don't know how to go online, and phone numbers they can't get through. So if you know a senior in your area, just say, you having a hard time getting your benefits? Not a problem. Go over there with your phone and your laptop, help them do whatever it is that they need to do online, help them whatever you can in that type of way. And you don't even have to go anywhere to do it. My daughter and her friends was like, there's a community hospital not that far from her office. And she was just like, yeah, so we just go to the doctor's office and say, hey, this is your doctor's paperwork. We can scan it in for you. We can help you get your appointments online, all of this other kind of stuff, since they're taking away their ability to call. And then, of course, if you can give rides, please give these people a ride, because there's ride shares that we have that they offer through Medicaid, but they're limited to the rides that they can get. And now they can't do virtual appointments. So if Medicaid says, okay, hey, we'll pay for 6 rides a year, it's literally something like that. It's like under 10 rides a year. We'll pay for that. But now you can't use telehealth. So you're going to have to use those rides to get to, your doctor's appointments. If you can give rides to the Social Security office or to a doctor's appointment, that type of stuff for seniors who can't get around, who can't use the internet and all that other kind of stuff, who can't navigate the benefits, it will be like life saving for these people. So anybody who can do that, just do it. Just reach out to somebody in your community. Like, hey, I know they're taking away Social Security benefits. We have a neighborhood app, and you could just post on there. So you don't have to do anything. Just post on there. Seniors in the area, if you need help with your benefits, scheduling appointments, rides, or whatever, just like post it on there, and their kids or grandkids, whoever, they'll see it and they'll call you. Or if you know them personally, knock on the door. Like, hey, I'm cooking dinner. You want a plate? Or do you want to come over and eat? I do that. My honey don't like it because I let a lot of people in my house all the time. He got like extra cameras now that he's moved in, but little stuff like that, it goes a long way. And our seniors and disabled people, it's going to get really, really rough for them, and they need us, and we just have to show up for them. I don't care if you're tired, you just work 12 hours, you could spare another hour to sit down with your laptop and help a senior navigate their benefits online. and you'll feel better afterwards. I feel better
Absolutely.
afterwards. I feel like I did something for the day. So stuff like that you can do. Pack an extra lunch. Help seniors online because they don't know how to navigate online. If you can give rides, give a ride. It goes a long way. And those little paper bags, that those little sack lunches or whatever, like you could buy 200 of them for a couple bucks. That don't even cost that much. Put the sandwiches in there, fruit, whatever you put in your kids lunch, make an extra lunch or two, have your kids take it to school. And some of these teachers right now with the Department of Education, they're not going to be able to do that type of stuff. And if you could just step in and do it, you can. A kid that your child is saying, a smelly kid in class or whatever, go to their parents like, hey, I do my kids' laundry once a week. I can throw your kids' laundry in there too. Stuff like that, just to be there for each other. It don't have to be extra. You ain't got to be in the streets like me. Any little extra thing in your area you can do it. You won't regret it. Just do it.
Absolutely. We need to take care of those people that are in need and that are deserving of the help.
Absolutely.
We're gonna wrap things up, but Old Soul, thanks for joining us. I know you're busy. I know you're traveling around doing all kinds of protests. You're going home after 2.5 weeks. That's good to hear. But no doubt
Yeah.
there's going to be some other things going on with the upcoming special elections, and you're going to be bouncing around still.
Yes. Oh, one other thing, I almost forgot, and a wild child would have killed me. There's red states. They are blocking bills to ban child marriage. And it's if they are doing this in your state, please call your representatives, send them an email. This is ridiculous that they are doing this. In Tennessee, Democrats tried to be slick, and there was like some kind of anti-gay bill or something like that for marriage or whatever, and they tried to sneak in a ban in child marriage on the bill. Republicans
Okay.
took it out of the bill and said that the anti-gay bill that they were putting through had a better chance of getting through if they took the child marriage part out. Insane. There was another politician who said something like, hold on, she sent me this, so don't be mad at me, get mad at her. Boomer,
All
you're not
right.
gonna believe what he said. Okay, hold on.
Oh, I'll believe it. These fucking idiots, I'll believe anything.
Yeah. It's driving me crazy that he said this. Okay, I'm going through her text message. Hold on. Where is it, girl?
Well, you're looking for that. I'll tell you a story about another Republican. There's a
This is
state
what he
senator.
said.
Okay, go ahead.
His name is Edwards. Like, what is his name? She did Jess Edwards. This is his name. If we continually restrict the freedom of marriage as a legitimate social option, we will do this to people who are of ripe, fertile age and have a pregnancy and a baby involved, then we are in fact making abortion a less viable option. So what he said in this little presser that he did was, if you have sex with a child and you get that child pregnant, marriage is a better option than abortion. If we ban child marriage, then more of the girls that we assault will be having abortions. That's what that fool said. And luckily, what he was proposing didn't go through. So what they've been fighting is Democrats have been trying to say, hey, if you are under the age of 18, you can't get married. I don't give a damn if your dad say you can marry this 40-year-old man. You under 18, you can't get married. Parents consent or not. And Republicans are like, nope. We need to get these girls when they are ripe and fertile because we need to have babies. That is what they are saying. So the wild child wanted me to mention that. If you
I
have
appreciate
these
that.
representatives in your area blocking underage child marriage laws, send the email and a phone call. I don't know if it's going to do anything because these people are just nasty as hell. But that's their thing. But all these other distractions that's going on from Trump, they are doing stuff like this in the background. And I think like there's a lot of distractions. We have to pick and choose what it is that we amplify and fight against. But we can't leave these girls behind, because if you have parents who are voting for people like this, then you don't have any parents that's going to look out for you and protect you. And so it
Yeah.
has to be us. These are like community children. These are people like Wild Child, whose mother had absolutely no problem making her go into church and see her abuse her every single day and singing along hymns with him in church like this is the thing to do. But these are the people that they vote for. So when you have parents who vote for people like this, I'm pissed off. These children don't have parents that's going to fight for them. So it's up to us. And people like that, they have no need to be in positions of power. Just,
Yeah. Well, I'm going to wrap things up, and I'm going to tell you this last story, and you can stew on this for a while. There is a Republican senator, state senator in Minnesota. He and a
yeah.
bunch of other state senators introduced a bill suggesting that anybody who has Trump derangement syndrome, anybody that speaks
Oh,
badly of Donald Trump, should
yeah.
be considered mentally ill. Next day, next day, this guy gets arrested for soliciting a 16-year-old girl. Fuck him. That bill's going nowhere. He's going to fucking jail. Good luck to that
Every,
stupid piece of shit.
every accusation is a confession. Every single one of them. I saw well, he was an anesthesiologist, and it was some woman. She made a post about Democrats, whatever, and he said that he agreed with what Trump did to E. Jean Carroll, and that Democrats need to get ready because they are all over the place. This is like Trump country, King Trump or some crap that he said. And, people just started like posting about it. And I'm looking at him like, yeah, he's just some kind of like gross, creepy guy, like whatever. And then somebody else that I watched, he actually explained why so many people was like doxing him and putting his information out there. It's not the fact that he's just some perv that would say something like that. He's an anesthesiologist. So they were like giving the name of the hospital that he works at, giving like his credentials, everything. It's like posting all of this online. And I was like, oh crap, now I get it. Because could you imagine somebody like that putting you or your wife or your granddaughter to sleep? What the hell is you like people like that don't need to have these type of jobs. They don't need, it's just insane to me. But it looks like predators are just kind of like, oh, Republicans, this is our playground now. It's like they falling all over the place. And a lot
Yeah.
of them are in Congress and they're trying to put through these bills that will enable them to do the crap that they are trying to do. That guy that you told me about, the Trump derangement syndrome, I was not shocked. The next day I saw that and I was just like, yep, that fits. That's about right.
That is about right. Well, I'm going to wrap things up. I appreciate it, old soul. Hopefully, we can get you back again soon. I know you're going to be bouncing around every place. For those of you
Yeah.
listening, thanks for taking the time. I hope you have a great day, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.